Hello and welcome to the Pixelated Realms Gamescast, your guide to the digital landscape, untangling the mysteries of your favorite titles and discussing the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Alex Lerno, and alongside me is my brother Tyler and my good friend Dustin. It's going to be a long podcast for me.
Yes, it is. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for being here, as always.
I was just tired because I was glamping all day or all weekend.
I was glamping all weekend.
So tired and exhausting glamping in your tent with a fucking king-size bed and a heater and all that shit.
I wish I could go back. It was really nice. But then I, come home back to a full day's work, and now we're doing the podcast at night, so I'm like tired. I usually go to bed earlier and earlier every day now, it seems like, but here we are. So and try and make it through without screwing up too much. I'm already off to a rough start. But today we're going to be talking about Helldivers 2 and PlayStation. They seem to be button heads. So that'll be fun to talk about. But first, let's talk about the weekly roundup. So what is up? What are you guys up to?
What is up? It's been busy, so not a ton lately, but been playing a lot more of this Rogue Trader. It's been keeping me going for a couple weeks now. If you've been listening, you'll know that that's definitely been the game I've been playing lately. It's honestly just keeps getting better and better, which is really great for a CRPG because they're really difficult games to get into, and really they can drag on really easily, even in the best of circumstances. And I'm like 40 hours in, and I still feel like it's showing me new things. Sophie's visiting us, I guess. Oh, sorry. So I've been playing that a lot, and I think I'm going to get the season pass, which gets me access to two expansions that are coming out next month and one later in the year or early 2025. So
is it a season pass or is it like an expansion pass?
It's a season pass, but it's an expansion pass.
They seem to just use that word season wherever they feel fit. This is a season. This is a season.
I mean, if I'm just paying the same amount for the two expansions as I would, I'm like fine with it. But I just, I don't really get it. What makes it like a pass? I don't know.
And why is it a
pre-order?
Like, what's the season? Why not just call it expansion pass? Yeah.
I agree. I don't know what the season is. Seasonal content, right? So.
Interesting. Dustin, you doing anything? Dustin? Find anything interesting, or is it just the game of life?
Mostly game of life.
The most complex game.
Yeah, the game of rat battles. I've been listening to all this Kendrick and Drake back and forth, which has been kind of wild. Not video game related, but I don't even listen to Drake or Kendrick. But it's been really fascinating watching these guys like throw rap tracks back at each other. There's this really funny Key and Peele skit that someone took and then was like, "This is basically an accurate description of this rap battle shit," and it's super funny. But I don't know, just thinking about it, and I'm from the games, like trying to figure out what characters I want to see like appear in like Star Wars Outlaws. That because it happens in between 4 and 5, right? So I didn't know that. I guess it's like a year-ish before The Empire Strikes Back, according to this thing I just seen. So yeah, kind of curious like what characters, like legacy characters, we'll see pop up. Like will Luke and Leia and Han, those guys be in there? Or will we see any characters we're not expecting, like from the first 3 that we survived? And I know it's pretty. I think there's a pretty big jump in between. I don't know though. Like I said, it's just kind of interesting. Like I hope we see Luke. Every time Luke comes into like anything, like personally, I think The Mandalorian is incredibly overrated as a show. I think it's very good. But I think, like I've told Alex before, that there's just been so much bad Star Wars content that like the first thing that didn't suck was just like put on a pedestal, and that was The Mandalorian.
But like Andor, I think surpassed it, but they're good for different reasons.
See, I thought Andor was mad boring, dude. Like it's so boring. Like I like.
Oh my god, you don't know cinema.
It's more Trekky, like let's like look at dialogue and like things like that. It's not like big action sequences.
Let's have a compelling narrative.
But like I don't know, Andor, like it was good. Also, it was good, but I wasn't like blown away by it. I just think all the Disney Plus ones, they're all solid. None of them are like fucking amazing. I still think Rogue One is the best piece of Star Wars content since the original trilogy.
I also agree with that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but it'll be interesting to see how they bring what characters they bring back. Because, like I said, where I was going with that is like the appearance of Luke at the end of Mandalorian season 1. I think like was the most fucking epic part of the whole season.
Totally.
Just shows up, starts killing like the
Well,
crazy
did the Rogue
troopers.
One Darth Vader,
Right.
Like it was just hype because you seen him like pulling in the X-wing, pull into like the bay. You're like, oh my god, is that who we think it is? So yeah, I think I'll be very surprised if Luke doesn't make an appearance because anything he's in just seems to be better. So we'll see. Other than maybe like the last 3 movies, but those just sucked in general.
I think
Do we have gameplay trailers of Outlaws yet?
I think maybe a little bit. I don't know if we have full gameplay trailer. I think we maybe have just like snippets. But
so I'm curious, like what style game it really is. Like it's Ubisoft, right? So I'm expecting Ubi stuff, like.
Well, they
said there is
Assassin's Creedy.
They said you will not be unlocking towers to unlock the map. So they already said you're not doing that. But
don't believe you.
I would actually be surprised to see Luke in this game. Because I agree with you that Luke would be a really cool drop in like he was in The Mandalorian, and I actually agree with everything you said. And I'm like a huge Star Wars fan. I think that the bar
As you
was
show
so
your
low.
Mandalorian.
I did that actually,
yeah.
But I got this before the show. I just want all the nerds out there to know that. For the video listeners or viewers, but the bar was pretty low. We've had more bad Star Wars content than we've had good Star Wars content. And so when something decent came out, we were all like, "Fuck it, that's good enough." Like,
well, I mean, like, let's be if we're having the Star Wars talk, then, and you know what, it's relevant to video gaming, so I don't want to hear it. 7, 8,
this
9
is a nerd podcast.
were so
video games.
bad that I honestly I can't think of anything else that I really disliked. Like everything else was pretty fine to me, but like 7, 8, and 9 was not okay to me.
I would say 7 is redeemable.
Yes.
It had a lot of problems, but it was like none of them were so crucial that are so terrible that I was like, ooh, like total write-off. It had a lot of problems, and I was like, okay, maybe 8 can fix it. Obviously, 8 did not fix it.
8 was like 10 steps back.
8 is probably one of the worst films I've ever seen in my entire life, Star Wars or not. And 9, and we're not even going to go to that one. But
it was really dumb, yeah.
I saw like a really funny like list that I pretty much agreed with, mostly. There's a few things that I moved around of like the best ones, and it was like, okay, the first one was like Empire Strikes Back, then Rogue One, then 4, then 6, and then there was like it was like I want to say it was like 3, I don't know, 2, and then it was like holiday special, all of the worst parts of all the movies clipped together, and then Phantom Menace at the bottom. I was like,
I don't know why people hate Phantom Menace. I think that's the best of the the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, no, the thing with Phantom Menace is it's such a bad movie, but there are really good little
but it's
things
still
you can pull out. Like
truly Star Wars. That's the thing.
Guess.
It has the essence of Star Wars,
but
it's not a great story. Like
it's the best duel in like the series.
Okay. Duel of the Fates, the duel at the end, pod racing. I mean,
and I was literally saying, I said it gave us pod racing and it gave us the fight with Darth Maul, which are amazing parts of the movie.
That makes it alone.
The rest of the movies, the rest of the part of that movie sucks. And I highly, I literally can't recommend this enough. If you're a Star Wars fan and you have a lot of time in your hands,
I know what you're gonna say.
Go and look up on YouTube the Red Letter Media review of Star Wars. Of the prequels, just look up Red Letter Media prequels review. It is like a 2 to it's
like 2 to 3 hours,
per movie. So it's like they literally spend the length of the movie reviewing the movie, but it's done through this character. They have Mr. Plinkett, which is like this like basement dwelling serial killer.
Yeah,
no, he's like literally like a kid, but it's like a character. It's just it's really hard to explain.
It's a really elaborate video, a character for a
the
video.
Criticism is all so spot on and
perfect.
so delivered so well that like you just can't help but just die laughing the whole time, and you realize how bad the fucking movies are. Everything, because they'll be like in the beginning, the Jedi come into the Trade Federation ship, and they go in and they're like sipping the tea. It's Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and they're like, oh, they sent the Jedi. Then they gas them, and then they're like, why did they open the doors like right after? Didn't they think they would hold their breath for like 2 minutes? And how did he know it was poison? Wouldn't he have to smell it to know what kind of poison it was? Like all this shit, like they just tear apart like every scene, and it's just so good. And they're like,
potential plot hole has been like opened.
yeah, and then they talk about like Anakin's, like in the later movies, like 2 and 3, they talk about the love story between Anakin and Padme, and they're like, what's something that you really want in, when courting a lady? Is you want to listen to her, you want to respect her, you want to show signs of affection, and they clip together all of the scenes of him just bitching and complaining and calling her names and shit, and you're like,
doesn't listen.
Oh my god, like this is so good. Highly recommended. This is the entire podcast. Go listen to Red Letter Media.
Yeah. Just take tonight off and go listen to the Red Letter Media videos.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny too because like he and some other YouTubers present some really great like alternative stories to the prequels, and I'm like, God damn, I wish we could have had that. Like, that would have been so cool. Like there's certain times where it'll be like, why is the one that always sticks with me that I completely agree with wholeheartedly is in in episode 2 when they are guarding Padme and the bugs come and they try to assassinate her with the bugs. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi who runs after this drone and jumps out a window and grabs it. It was him or some other YouTuber who pointed out, and he's like, so is it the wise Jedi who's been preaching patience this whole movie, or is it going to be the lover teenage kid who jumps out the window? Oh, it's the wise master. Okay, that makes sense. And I was like, dude, that's so true, man. Why doesn't Anakin jump out the window and Obi-Wan does the practical thing? And so it doesn't make any sense. And then he like castrizes him later for the same thing. Like, so stupid.
It's so consistent. But okay, this is a pretty large tangent, but
I don't think Star Wars.
Star Wars Outlaws,
the Star Wars game.
We're excited for it.
Games.
I would be surprised if Luke shows up in that game, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get cameos from people like Lando Calrissian. I think he's a big one. I wouldn't be surprised
probably because she's a scoundrel, right? Like the main character. Although I guess that's like,
I would say
Han's already moved on from that life, kind of.
The thing is
you might see Han. Maybe.
If they showed Han, I would be disappointed because Han is a solo guy. Just because they're both scoundrels, I mean,
No
other
pun
than
intended.
Chewbacca. Right? I totally did not do that on purpose.
Are you serious?
I mean, I'm sure I did.
Han is a solo guy. Han Solo.
I told you it's a late night for me.
Unbelievable.
I'm slipping. I mean, I'm sure my mind was like, that's linked in there. Like, there's they're one and the same. But you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't partner with people. So if they do bring him into the game and they're like, oh, he's going to give you a mission or some shit, I'm going to be disappointed because he doesn't deal with other people. Like, he's an outcast even amongst the scoundrels, right? That's what a scoundrel is. And so that's why like Jabba the Hutt makes sense. And even Boba Fett makes sense. I actually think we'll see Boba Fett. I think that's a shoo-in because we're going to Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be super surprised if we saw Chewbacca without Han. I think that's likely, especially because no, that's the wrong movie. But maybe they got
suggested this as our main topic.
Yeah, maybe it should have been. Once you get the world of Star Wars in this podcast,
I do think
down.
we'll 100% see extended gameplay at the Summer Games Fest. 100%. I will be absolutely shocked if we don't see like a 10-15 minute gameplay like presentation at some point. Like it won't, like they'll probably drop a trailer, but I'll be very surprised if we don't see like an extended gameplay cut come out. Because we're like, we'll be like 3 months from launch at that point, 3-4 months. If we have a launch day, we have a launch day, right? It's probably like
we have a launch window. I don't think we have a date.
So we'll probably get the anticipated launch day also at I always want to say E3, but at Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, I think you're right. Is that the biggest known game we have for this year?
There's gotta be one of that.
I'm
I
thinking.
don't
Well,
know.
and I'm not counting the Elden Ring DLC drop this summer. Because I mean, I feel like we're gonna get a couple more big games, but not a lot of them have announcements, and a lot of them are like 2024
Yeah,
or
okay, let's see
maybe
here.
2024.
Shit, I'm not paying for New York Times.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I would consider like kind of one of those bigger titles, double triple A.
Quadruple A.
I
I
think
mean,
it's
I know
probably the
I'm missing
biggest.
something, but
It's probably the biggest one right now that we know is
I
coming.
feel like there's at least 10 I'm not thinking about.
But we'll definitely have more by the end of Summer Games Fest. Like that again. Like that's when everyone's going to drop their big news for their fall launches. So I'll be surprised if we don't have more by then. Let's see. I'm going through this list right now.
yeah,
September we
that's
got
coming up.
Warhammer. There's like a
See?
shit ton of stuff
Not
in
big enough.
October. Arc 2.
Nope, not counting that one.
God, there's a fucking ton of games coming out in October, which makes sense.
October. Yeah. Well, we got about a month to Summer Game Fest,
Yeah,
aka
you
the
think
new
I should go?
E3.
It's $400 or $500 for me to go on the industry day, and they give you like a grab bag or not grab, like a gift bag, and then like your food and drinks are included. And I'm just like, I don't know if $500 is like worth like mobbing around there for the fucking day. I just don't know
Is
if I
it
pay that much.
in LA?
Yeah, it's in LA.
You want to go? I'll go with you. I don't know if
you
I
have
can go to that
apply.
thing, but
Yeah, you got to apply
Oh.
and be like part of the industry to be able to get a ticket. Hold on, I gotta switch my battery out.
Okay. Well then I'll go ahead and pick up. But I don't know if I have anything more interesting. I've been, it was my birthday this week, so I've been doing like, I've been out of town and doing shit. But I've been playing Fallout 4 still on the Fallout train. I still think that show is really good, and if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend going to see it. So we've been playing Fallout, Helldivers 2, which we will talk about, and what is it called? Demon Gate, the Warhammer
Demon Gate?
Demon
Chaos Gate?
Chaos Gate, whatever.
You've been playing this game, you don't even remember the name.
Chaos
It
Gate.
is
Oh, it's because it's
Chaos
called
Gate
Chaos
Demon
Gate
Hunters.
Demon Hunters. That's why I got
Yeah.
confused. So I've been playing that one. That one's fun. But other than that, I haven't been nothing like that piqued my interest. Usually there's like something within the like month that's like really gripped me, that has like a death grip on me, and I just don't have that right now, which is super weird. So I've been spending a lot of time painting my minis, my Warhammer minis. I have like six or seven boxes of unopened minis now that I have to go through.
Yeah, I just sent you a link, Alex. This is a pretty good industry games event that's happening in a couple of weeks. Like, it's not like JDC, but it's like a lot of just industry people gather and like panels and shit like that. It's pretty expensive to attend. I want a free ticket, so that's why I'm going.
No.
But it's like $1,000, so that's like a day and a half. But if you want to again like try to mingle with people in the industry, it would be a potentially good one to go to.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. Let's see. Got anything else, or should we move on to questions?
Questions.
No, I think questions are
Ralph
good.
hitting with us. What's Ralph telling us today?
We actually have a lot of questions this time. We have like 5 questions.
They all from Ralph?
So no, some of them are from our Uncle Patrick.
All right.
So let me see. So we're gonna go to Ask Pixelated Realms. If you want to ask us a question or leave a comment, you can go to pixelatedrealms.org/ask. That's ASK. You can leave us a comment or a question. We'll talk about it in the middle of our show, which is right now. So let me bring the questions up. All right. So, as is tradition, Ralph left us a couple of good questions. He said, I'm running out of names to use. So, now he's just throwing down. He said, for console lovers out there, digital or physical? Actually, I think it's a pretty easy one to answer, though. I mean,
Digital.
at least for me, digital.
Yeah.
I like the physical, cartridge. I like it, but I don't like the disc. Actually, if anybody from Sony or Xbox, if Phil Spencer's listening to our podcast, which he will never will, what I want is I want to be able to buy one of these guys, one of these like things, but you open it up and it's just a digital code. That's all I want, because I just want this on my shelf so I can like remember that it exists. But I don't want the CD, and I would pay. I would pay for that. I mean, I'm not going to pay more, but I will pay the same.
You pay
but I'm
full
paying,
price, yeah.
Yeah. Just give me a little.
The code.
All I want is the stupid plastic box with the cool art on it, and have a code. That's what my ideal sitch would be, because it's not every game. Most games I wouldn't do that for, but like, a couple of the bigger titles I want to see sitting on my shelf. I do enjoy that.
Yeah, I agree.
The other way I'd want physical is if like I can play, because like there's been like some shit like, and it's kind of been like a topic where like if the game stops getting supported or whatever, like even though you own it digitally, like you kind of lose it because it's like no longer available. So if you have the physical copy, like I don't know if that makes a difference in terms of being able to play offline still. It feels like every game pretty much requires you to be online, so I'm not really sure how that works, but in that case, physical obviously is better because you're maintaining ownership. But yeah, I still kind of prefer digital.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
If it's
but
that
I mean,
far
you're right.
down the line, I'm probably not playing it anymore anyways.
Yeah, seriously. Or you'll find a free emulated version on the internet.
Yeah. Oh, hey, are you trying to buy any handhelds?
It becomes abandonware.
Or do you only want consoles?
So say what again?
You've been collecting like old systems, right? Do you want any handhelds, or do you just want consoles?
I've anything cartridge. I've been kind of collecting. So handhelds.
I found a 3DS XL that I barely ever used, and it has Pokemon Moon that I played for like 20 minutes. And I bought this just for that game, and I literally never used it. So this thing has like probably like less than 5 hours of use. So
wow.
If you're looking for a 3DS XL, I have one.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Maybe. I'll have to think about it. I don't think I've gotten into portables, so
Yeah.
I'll have to see also if I have one. I have a whole bin of handheld like
I was like
old
shocked because
DSs.
I looked it up, and these things sell for like fucking $200+. And I'm like, God damn.
My God.
Right.
I think that's because they stopped making them recently, and people still like to play games on them. You can't really play some of the games anywhere else.
I don't have my charger though, so I gotta figure out if it works. I gotta find like a charger for this fucking thing. I know it works. It's like I said, it has like less than 5 hours. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead.
Cool. Let's go on to the next question. A couple of weeks ago, you shared the most iconic video game character. Who do you think is the most iconic video game villain and/or boss?
Sephiroth.
I was gonna say Sephiroth or Bowser. Let me see.
Yeah, I think Bowser is more universal.
For some reason, the first villain that popped in my head was Egghead.
Oh, that's a
Sonic,
good one though.
Sonic,
Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why. Like that was just like the first one that popped in my mind.
I could see him being like top 10.
Yeah. And then afterwards, I thought Bowser. I don't think like Ganon is like probably on there. He's definitely on the top 10 also.
5. Yeah.
But I don't think he's the first one that pops to mind. Sephiroth probably too, like probably top 5, top 10. But yeah, it's probably gonna be like Bowser.
I'm trying to think of like, what's Xbox flagship thing? It's like Halo, or maybe Gears.
Yeah, but those aren't.
Halo doesn't really
have
like
villains.
a villain, right?
Yeah,
it's like
the Covenant isn't like a.
Yeah, there's
or
the Arbiter. It's not.
Does Sony have something that they could do? And I'm just thinking like, I mean, they have a lot of stuff, but The Last of Us, for instance, doesn't have like a big baddie. That's that. I mean, it's got to be Bowser. And like my first.
Definitely the Japanese companies embrace the mascot.
My first thought was Sephiroth, though. But as much as I would think that, I think Bowser is the number one.
I agree. I think Bowser is the one. Like, if you stopped people on the street, 9 out of 10 of them would know Bowser. Like,
Well, it's
but
because
like 3 out
most
of 10
games,
would know Sephiroth.
like all the Final Fantasies, like they change the villain every game, right? Sephiroth, it's just 7,
Yeah,
right?
he's just
So,
one game's worth of.
like, and that's obviously the most
Technically.
popular one, but he's like one of like 16 different Final Fantasy big baddies for each game, right? And it's the same thing with most games. Most games like don't have a returning villain, like Zelda does. Like Ganon is the villain in most Zelda games.
All of them.
It's like, what about like Samus, and that does like is it like a Nintendo theme to bring back
alien.
the same like big baddie in most games? Like obviously,
you get,
again,
like,
Sonic
Ridley,
does
I guess.
also.
I feel like there's a few obvious ones. I mean, I think you were on the right track with like Ganon, but I can't think of anything even in the same league as like Bowser.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
As far
I
as-
googled
as
it,
far-
and the people that are popping up, yeah, Sephiroth, Bowser, Handsome Jack. I don't know who that is.
He's from
Borderlands.
Borderlands.
GLaDOS.
I mean, he is a
which is,
fantastic bad guy, but he's definitely not as recognizable as the other ones.
yeah, GLaDOS from Portal, Dr. Eggman, Robotnik, Joker. But I don't like count Joker either because I feel like he's
The
the wrong
Joker feels like a cop out.
Arthas. Oh, Arthas is a good one from Warcraft. You know.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, these are all good bosses, but as like the most like iconic.
You could also put like Metal Gear Solid bosses in there, you know? Like,
That's true.
I didn't
Any
play
of
a
the
lot
foxes,
of them.
Fox
but-
Die people.
So Dana of Geek
Metal
on
Gear.
their list of top 25 most iconic villains. Ganon is number 1. Kefka
Really?
Palazzo is 2 from Final Fantasy VI. GLaDOS is 3. Bowser is 4.
He's a good villain.
Arthas is 5.
Hmm.
And then it gets
I would
really
put
weird.
Bowser first, and
Showdown.
Ganon second, and then Sephiroth third. I think
agree
is
with
my
that.
list.
Oh, Shang Tsung, Mortal Kombat. That's a pretty good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But like Tyler was saying, like if you ask people on the streets, like all of these names, they'll know Bowser, but they will not know a single one of the other ones. Maybe
Yeah.
occasionally a Ganon.
Yeah.
You know.
The non-gaming like people, if you said, you know who Bowser is? Like, oh yeah, that's like the guy who always tries to fuck with Mario. You know? But yeah, no one's like fucking talking about
It's
any
like
of the
almost
other
unfair
ones.
though, because Mario's is like one of the OG games
It's been
in all of
proliferated too.
Well,
Well, especially
yeah.
today, like maybe like 5 years ago, maybe it would be less common, but now with the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, I got the best answer. The best answer is Pinky and the ghosts from Pac-Man.
Oh.
Those are the most iconic villains. Everybody knows
Wah,
those
wah, wah.
villains.
Eh.
Or are they the villains?
Are we? We're the villain. Are we
Is
the
Pac-Man
baddies?
a genocidal maniac consuming all
Oh,
of the
God.
little round things in
And
their
all
world?
of their food. Yeah. All the chairs. Oh God, he's
The
back. He's
spirit
back in the
energy.
village.
Get him.
All right, next question. This is from Uncle Patrick, and I'm just gonna put that uncle in front of it because he hates it so much. Hey guys, a few questions. You can spread out over a few episodes. Nope, we're not doing that. Oh, it's 3 questions in one. I see. So okay, what recent gaming soundtrack in the last few years has stood out? Any favorite tracks in recent games that make you go back and take a listen? We all love Zelda and Final Fantasy, but curious on current music that warrants a listen. That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Tyler, I'll
Near
let you start.
Automata.
'Cause-
Okay.
Near Automata, City Ruins, Amusement Park are both fucking fantastic songs. And then they have another one that's like Weight of the World or something like that, which is actually in English that plays at the end. That's also fantastic. But what's really cool about Nier is they actually, so like there's a language being spoken in Amusement Park and City Ruins, and it's a language they made up just for the game. So yeah, but City Ruins, Amusement Park, Way of the World, fucking phenomenal songs from Nier Automata.
Cool. All right, it depends on how far we want to go back, but I would say I'll point out a couple, and we can do more later. So I'm gonna start with one of my favorites, and that is the entire soundtrack of Cyberpunk 2077. And I just love the atmosphere, like the immersion, like just the variety is insane. So a lot of really good stuff there, and if you don't have to like it all, but if there's a few tracks there that I'm sure everyone could love. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and say Kingdom Come Deliverance has a really amazing soundtrack. I really like their beginning track called Skelet's 1403. That's an RPG, like living the life of a medieval serf kind of game. So really good fantasy, and that is getting its second game very soon. And then third and last one for now will be the Hogwarts Legacy soundtrack. Personally, my favorite soundtracks throughout the game were the soundtracks that played in the vivariums, which is the part where you like have your animals living in their little ranches. And I love all of those soundtracks, but the one I enjoyed the most was the ocean one. So check those out, and you won't be bored, I promise.
Yeah, I don't really have anything because I'm a music idiot and I don't. My ears are basically broken. So I would just say like
I don't
Final
even know what that
Fantasy.
means. Final Fantasy 16 is close, but I don't want to give it praise because I think it was pretty fine for a Final Fantasy, but it won awards this year, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, all the ones I think about are like old, like Halo, like and stuff like that.
What have they done with the Halo theme since 20 years ago?
Not much. Recently I literally dusted off my old PS3 and busted out Rock Band. Nice. I was sad to see that Harmonix has moved on from Rock Band games instead to develop Fortnite Festival. Do you think with the epic popularity of Fortnite or even VR like games like Beat Saber, the music genre will make a comeback? Or due to its peripheral heavy nature, it will just be a niche genre and peak popularity was in the past? That's a good question and a slightly tough question, but I think I have good news. Is I think it is going to come back.
It's coming back for sure, yeah.
I think partially due to Fortnite, and I don't think though that people are going to primarily play it in that Fortnite festival because it's been a bad experience. But people are making the peripherals again, which means that companies are going to want to make these games again.
And they're selling them too. It's not just like they're making them; like they're fucking selling hotcakes.
Yeah, and
I think it's just a thing that has to go in stages, and once they finally figure out that people are going to spend money on it again, like I've actually over the years looked several times in getting Guitar Hero setups, and they're really hard to get. So if you have one, hang on to it.
Yeah,
Guitar Hero
I
or
do
Rock
expect
Band?
either one.
Yeah,
Rock Band's a little easier to get. Guitar,
you think so?
Yeah,
really interesting. So I've been having a harder time with Guitar Hero. But either way, I still think it's due for a remake of some kind.
All they have to do is see that. Like,
surprises.
I was like, all they have to do to make that game like massive comeback, pay Taylor Swift however fucking much money she wants, and do a Taylor Swift Guitar Hero.
Billions of dollars.
Fucking just
#1 highest selling game of all time.
Of all time, yeah.
And it's gonna bring in a huge new audience into Rock Band or into Guitar Hero also. Potentially
buy their girls buying PlayStation or people buying PlayStations
just to
literally buy PlayStations just to fucking play that game.
Totally, dude.
I think that's a possibility because there's a rumor there's going to be a new Guitar Hero, which I would be super surprised if they weren't at least working on something because everybody wants it. Nobody knows why Rock Band and Guitar Hero like fizzled out. Well, I mean, I'm sure I could look it up, but like the common zeitgeist, nobody knows, right?
I mean, it just falls out of popularity like anything.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that would be brilliant if they brought Taylor Swift on just because of her popularity, and then drop that game. Man, that would be selling gangbusters.
Yeah.
But good news is it seems like it is making a slight comeback. Will it be to what it was? I can't say, but it is making a comeback.
It's the ultimate party game.
It is. Do you guys play any mobile games, not handheld games, but like on your phones? I notice I only ever do puzzle games for super quick sessions or emulators when I need something more substantial. Curious if there are any recommended things I should try out. I actually do play mobile games, but
I do
you guys,
too.
Yeah. I do because my ADD requires I be on my phone at least 10 minutes for every, 20
See, I do
minutes
that,
in
but
my
I'm just
day.
on Twitter, so instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it's so hard before we kind of go into like the actual games. I'm so mad though that like 99% of the games on the App Store are just these like slot machine bullshit casino games that are trying to steal your money. And it's super upsetting because it is hard to find the like good games that are there and exist but are very hard to
Yeah.
find. And even those good games are then forced to monetize in the manner of these other bullshit games just because that's the only way to survive. But
So what do you recommend people?
me, let's see, if you recommend, well, right now I've been playing the Warhammer Tactics game because we're on our Warhammer kick, and it's kind of like a very small scale tactical game where you have like your characters in, like
Turn-based.
turn-based like Final
Yeah.
Fantasy Tactics-y style where you like fight each other, but obviously much more simplified than that. But that's my latest thing. But I'll go through kind of the games I have downloaded on my phone then here. So I have Diablo Immortal, which I actually find is a very good game, and I actually like it better
See,
than
we
Diablo
all do
4.
have phones.
And then yeah, you have phones, right?
I was
Marvel. Oh, you were there. That guy was a dick, a little bit more of a dick. I mean, he said out loud what everyone was thinking, but he was a little bit more of a dick.
Not
Yeah,
the
what
right
he
time.
said was
Yeah.
absolutely true. It's just, yeah, read the room.
Yeah. So Diablo Immortal, Marvel Snap is actually a fantastic game. Still a fantastic
Marvel
game.
Snap's really great.
It's an amazing game. I have Mega Man X on my phone. Mighty Doom and Classic Doom. Mighty Doom is actually really fun. You play as the Doom guy, but it's a very it's like an auto shooter, but you kind of walk around the map. It's really interesting. I played this Monster Hunter Now, which is like Pokemon Go. Raid, but
Shadow Legends sponsoring today's video.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
not
All
doing
right,
that
maybe
one.
in the future.
Delta, which is that new emulator. So you can actually, if you download Delta on your phone, you can download emulators for like all the Super Nintendo games and Nintendo 64 and even like PlayStation and stuff like that. And then Shovel Knight Dig is the last one I'll say on here, and it's like a mini Shovel Knight game that is really fun. What about you, Tyler?
Okay, so there's been a few. A lot of my favorites are actually just ports of games that I love. Those include like Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy VII. KOTOR has a really great mobile version, which is surprising. The game works really well mobile. Chrono Trigger is another one I love playing on my phone. But then there's other ones that there's also games that are really well adapted for mobile, and I do go out of my way to try to find those. There was this old game called Battleheart that came out like must have been over 10 years ago now. Really fun. You would click and drag your guys across the screen to go attack different units. It was a fun RPG squad game that I was obsessed with for a while, drained my phone battery. I really liked this Formula One game called Formula One Clash, and you would like do racing strategies with people all around the world, and you try to like beat them with strategy. Really enjoyed that one for a while. I think the ultimate mobile game was Pokemon Go during the time that it was popular, and even now, if you didn't play it 1,000 hours back then, I highly recommend that.
Right? Like, does Go count as a mobile game? Like, it is, but like, I don't.
It is nothing but a mobile game.
It's an augmented reality game.
But like, I don't think of Go as like an actual mobile game, because it's like, I don't know.
But it could be nothing else.
No, I know, but I don't
augmented.
like when you think of it. You think of like a game that you're sitting there playing, like like Honkai Star Rail or some shit. Like
that's funny because that was about to be the next one I was gonna say.
Yeah.
If
you like turn-based RPG, like gacha games, Honkai Star Rail is actually really great on mobile. And it was one of the more interesting gacha games I've ever played.
And one game of the year
mobile game.
for mobile, yeah. But that's like a mobile game to me. Like Go is like you're like you get out, like you're walking around, like you're kind of like it just doesn't feel like your traditional mobile game. So
I know, but
I love that. I play Go all the time still, but I don't consider myself a mobile gamer. So I don't know. I feel like it's in its own class of mobile game, I guess. But
I mean, that being said, what I don't understand, and we're just old, so we don't do this, is I like see like the younger generation like sitting there playing like PUBG or Call of Duty, like thumbs
I can't do
on
it at
their
all.
screens, and I'm like, that's when I knew I was like, oh shit, like I will never do that. Like I'm
Yeah,
old now. Like
I
this
played
is
Honkai
not.
Star Rail for like an hour, maybe an hour, not even that. And like it looks fucking awesome. It's got boobs, like it's got everything I need. And I just was like, after like 40 minutes, I
You
was
know, it's
just
on
like, oh,
PC
I
though
don't
too.
want to do this. You know,
It's on
yeah,
every system.
yeah. I know. I'll probably pick it up on one of those. But yeah, just on the console. I mean, on my phone, I was like, I don't like to just sit in my house on my couch and like play on my phone. I'd rather like play on my computer. I'd rather play on my PlayStation 5. Like it just doesn't do anything for me personally to like play on my phone. So
I feel the same way. A lot of the games that I play on my phone are like I'm very much aware that I'm just killing brain cells because I'm bored as shit and I'm not at home. And if I'm
Okay.
at home, I'm like gonna play on my PC or my PlayStation or
But I
something.
think that's the most games, but then there's certain games that like transcend and like actually are really great for like the tablet setting. Like for example, like you might have played Papers, Please on like the PC, which is a really good game. But once you play it on like an iPad, I will tell you it is such a like an awesome experience because you're like sitting there like dragging and dropping and reading these files. So like I don't know, to me it's just because the vast majority of mobile games are garbage doesn't mean like some people don't understand like how to make a game for the medium. And there is hidden gems out there.
Fruit Ninja.
That was one of the early gems.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. Last question. I think those are from Patrick. I think this is from Ralph, but he stopped putting his name, so I don't know. With Embracer selling Borderlands developer Gearbox to Take-Two, how does this, along with other devs being sold, affect the future of gaming, of that gaming series? Borderlands specifically has the next game in the series already in development, along with a movie. How does that impact the quality of the game and movie? I actually see this as a good thing. So,
yeah, it seems like
um,
business as usual to me, frankly.
yeah, I don't think, as far as like consumers, I don't think we're going to see any difference. I think Borderlands is still going to be, um, crunching along. It's going to be made regularly. I mean, it's such a cash cow now for them that they're just going to make those forever, especially with the movie coming out. And
And that movie
Embracer,
did not look
Embracer
good from
has,
the poster.
yeah, well, we'll see. But yeah, the Embracer Group has had a bad rep for kind of buying up companies and then tanking them. So,
Who have they done before? Who did they tank?
let me see.
They just sold
Embracer.
off a bunch of companies. They bought the studios that make like the Tomb Raider games and from Square in North America, and then
I was about to say
just
that's
sold all
Square.
those at like half cost. Recently.
Nordic, yeah, THQ
Yeah,
Nordic.
they like lost their fucking ass, dude. Like, Embracer spent so much money in the last few years, like stuff, and then just like wholesale realizing that they fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything on hand, but basically, people in the industry hate them. They're just, they're a company of finances and accounting
I think
that
Tyler
have.
froze, or he's just like really. Oh my
He's just
god,
really still.
dude, you were just so fucking still right there for like 20 seconds. I was like, he's frozen. He is fucking. He's not. You're not blinking.
I
You're
was
not like
trying to do.
twitching anything. I was like,
But yeah, so Gearbox is now sold to Take-Two, but I don't see us seeing any change at all. I think it's going to be business as usual. And this happens all the time. So in the games industry, companies, especially like AAA level companies, they get bought and sold all the time. And is that a good thing? No, probably not, because it's probably very stressful for the people in the companies, because usually layoffs are right around the corner when that happens, or it's an attempt to prevent layoffs. But as far as we're concerned, I don't think we're going to see any big changes.
All right.
What are you laughing about?
I was like staying still for like 40 seconds right there, like not blinking. So it's just kind of making me
I noted. I looked at you and I was like, Dustin. I was just like, oh, that's just always how he looks, like just sitting there.
I just froze it. Too good.
That's funny.
All right, should we
all
go
gotta
on
download
to our?
Goddess of Victory, Nikki. By the way,
What is
should be our
that?
next
Is that
game.
some
It's
goddess?
a 10-cent game or level
How do
infinite,
you say no?
and they have
Some
a lot of
Ichi
Low-Key
game?
Geek shirts. I think it's kind of Ichi, yeah. I think so. I don't know. I haven't really looked
Etchy.
into it.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about, and is not part of our main thing that I wanted to talk about during our recap was Hades 2. So yeah,
Wait,
I guess
isn't that our main topic?
Hades
What?
2.
Oh,
All right,
no,
next.
it's not. No, it's not.
no, but we'll merge it in. Helldivers 2 is kind of more of our main topic, but let's just merge it in. So here's what I'm
Quote,
gonna
main
do the transition, and then we'll talk about it. So before we dive in, we just want to say we really appreciate everyone who follows and subscribes to us. We post new episodes every Tuesday morning on podcast services and on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms. So okay, let's talk about Hades 2, and we'll talk about Helldivers. But Hades 2 just kind of like I don't know, either shadow dropped or just early release of their Hades 2, right? Or Supergiant Games did an early release of Hades 2, which is in early access now, and I'm super excited.
Check this out.
I love Hades 1. Hades 1 is probably my favorite 2D roguelike. I mean, it's definitely my favorite 2D roguelike. And I play it all the time.
Already overwhelmingly positive on Steam. Hades 2.
Awesome. I'm probably gonna wait this one a little bit because I'm not in a rush. Like I don't feel like I need it right now, but I'm gonna probably get it when it comes on my Switch because I like to play it on the Switch. But I mean, is that something that interests you guys?
What?
Is Hades 2? Is that an interest to you guys, or is this?
I played one, but it's not that I don't enjoy it. I do enjoy the game, but it's just not. I don't know. I guess I just don't have a interest at the moment.
My list of games I'm willing to play are short, and it is not on there.
All right, then then that'll just be an honorable mention, and we'll move on.
Yeah, fuck that
I'm
game.
excited.
Move on. No.
Hell no, it's so good. The story is so good.
I'm sure it's fantastic.
I do like Greek mythology.
All right, now let's talk about Helldivers versus Sony, big baddies. So if anybody, not caught up on this, so I guess what happened was that Sony, who owns Arrowhead, who's the developer of Helldivers 2, recently said like, hey, we said when we release this game that everyone's going to require to have a PlayStation account, and we're following through on that. And it's going to be mandatory. You're going to have log into a PlayStation account. And while on the surface that you're probably like, well, that doesn't seem like such a big deal, but it becomes a big deal when 100, my numbers might be a little off, but more than 100, it's like 190 countries can't log in to PlayStation Online,
Network.
The PlayStation Network, which means that essentially those countries would no longer have access to the game. That's a lot of countries.
121 countries. But,
121. Okay.
I didn't realize it was that bad. Wow.
Yeah, more than 100. So all these countries are about to get like effed. On top of like some people have privacy concerns and stuff like that, but honestly, that's if you're that you're paying for the service or you're paying for the game required for the service.
All these
it's an
fucking
online
people who complain
game.
about it probably also have TikTok and fucking I don't care about that security.
Yeah,
bullshit.
your information's already gone, man.
If you bought the game and then you are required to use some kind of network that you can't access, then you paid money for a service you can't utilize.
Yeah,
so
but but this is an online game. It's not a single player game. This is an online always game. You have to play it online. So
how do people in those countries play online games on PlayStation Network? I assume they don't use PlayStation Network, or how's that work?
I don't know. I'm assuming it just works.
Well, remember these people specifically are people who bought the game on Steam and who are now being required to also log into PSN to be able to play on Steam. So that's like the hitch is that like they're not PlayStation owners, they're Steam console or Steam PC players who bought it and are now PlayStation's like, well, hey, you have to connect your PlayStation network account to your Steam account to be able to play Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
So my opinion on this is, on the surface, again, like I agree, like I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I think that people are now putting the 121 country thing as their main argument of why they're mad, but that was just like something that a lot of people started mentioning, but the outrage is from people who are even within those countries that do have PSN, you know, who really like are just mad that they have to go and take this extra step because they feel like they were like, a lot of people comments I've seen like, oh well, I didn't see that I was gonna have to do that, you know. But it's honestly like, if you live in a country that has PlayStation Network, like who fucking cares? You probably already have a PlayStation Network account anyways. Like, you know, I mean,
we're asked to make accounts for everything nowadays.
yeah,
It's like
it was
constant.
not a
Like,
big deal at all, and
No,
people
it
just like
doesn't seem
blew it
like
up. But then they found that valid argument, right? The people who were angry are like, well, we're fucking angry, and they're like, yeah. Someone's like, oh well, yeah, and plus all these people can't even play. They're like, yeah, fuck yeah, like that's why I'm angry. It's like, you don't give a shit about the people in these 121 countries. You're just mad because it's the newest thing this week to be fucking mad about in the gaming community. And if you're not like fucking tilting out on social media about something in games, like, are you even a gamer? I guess at this point, you know. So, like,
I don't know. I don't know if review bombing is the right response, though. Like, I understand that it gets the message across, but
Well,
it's like,
we haven't even
you
gotten
know,
there yet, right? Like,
yeah, Arrowhead fucking told them to do it. Like, the community managers for Helldivers 2 in Discord were literally telling people to go review bomb their own game in order to force Sony's hand. And like the community manager,
we can confirm worked,
at least to some
as
extent,
of right
right?
now.
Like, I don't know, that probably helped for sure, but the review bombing sucked. But that's not enough to force Sony's hand. I think the fact that Arrowhead was out, like coming directly out and saying, "This is not us. We agree with the community.
Yeah,
Sony is fucking you all." Like, even to the studio head was like probably creating a shit ton of tension between the studio and Sony, and then also Steam started approving refunds for Helldivers 2, even if you'd been playing over 2 hours. So started hitting the checkbook because of the refunds, and I'm sure a lot of people probably refunding the game. And then it was also causing a massive internal issues between Arrowhead and Sony, with them like just outright calling Sony out. So I think those two facts probably drove Sony's decision much more than review bombing, because let's face it, like no one gives a shit about the reviews at this point because the game has already sold a fuck ton of copies. Like no one cares. Like it's already made its money, right? Like it's made more money than like it could have ever, like people could have ever thought probably for that game. It's the same thing with what's that fucking Pokemon ripoff? Pal World. Yeah, same thing. It got a ton of shit after it came out, but it sold like 10 million copies. They got like $600 million, some ridiculous amount of money. You know, they don't care if they ever if they get called frauds or ripoffs.
Yeah,
they already won. Same thing with Helldivers. They already won. So, and Sony did too. So the reviews kind of irrelevant. It sucks, but it's irrelevant. Like I think far more were the other two factors.
I agree on all fronts. One, I agree that this isn't a big issue and the community is blowing it out of proportion because they like to do that. They like to feel in control over developers. They feel like they have this because it's like, oh no, we have to log into something. Like, I don't give a flying fuck. And you're right. Like, I don't think that people actually care about these like other country players that can't log in or whatever like that. I think it was a little presumptuous of Steam to start issuing refunds, and I think Sony's probably going to make them pay them back for all those refunds, or not let them back charge them, or however the system works. Because if I was Sony and I'd be like, hey, like you allowed these refunds, I'm not paying you back the money that I got for this shit. So Steam is either gonna have to eat that, or they're definitely gonna take them to court or something like that, or do whatever.
They
because
only gave refunds to people within countries that do not have access to PSN, I think that Steam would have the upper hand. even
I
though the
would say
policy's
that's
been
true though.
changed.
Only once the actual policy went into effect. It never went into effect, so they did it presumptuously, and so now Sony's going to be like, "Hey, you hit our checkbook before we had time to respond to it," and so I feel like Steam is going to. I don't think this is going to be an issue for either. I just say behind the scenes somewhere. I don't think this is going to make news at all. But
Yeah.
somebody at Sony is pissed off at Steam, and
Someone's
somebody at
sending
Steam
emails,
is
yeah.
talking to Sony right now, and they're like, butting heads about stuff because they're too big to not have a communication between those two companies.
Yeah.
And you're right about the review bombing thing. I don't think that moved the needle for Sony at all. I think people on whoever did do the review bombing like to think that they did, but I think you're right that it had a lot more to do with internal tension between the company and Sony, between Arrowhead, because for whatever reason Arrowhead was like not for it, and I'm sure they weren't just sitting there idle. They were sending emails and doing whatever, talking to people and having problems. So that probably did a lot more. Because if like the company is discussing with the Sony executives and they're like still have unopened business between the two companies, they're going to be like, you know what, let's just delay this. It's obviously not going to like work if you're not going to help us support it, and let's figure out something better. And then, but they're going to spin it and they're going to be like, oh, we listened to the community feedback, when in reality this was like an internal decision. But I mean, I am surprised. I'm not surprised. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm not surprised that the community had such a big like flip out over this, because the gaming community is notorious for flipping out over little shit. Like, oh no, I needed to take 2 more steps to log into the account that I'm pretty much supposed to have anyways, that they told me I was going to need at the very beginning. Yeah, I don't know. I just
Yeah.
think this is just the natural order of video games. Something changes. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. People get upset about it. Somebody important got upset about it. Then something changes. And what's going to happen is in a month.
It's cool too, right? Like, oh, they're all review bombing Helldivers too. I want to go do that too. It's like just like a fucking trailer that gets downloaded like 10 million times or some shit. It's just like,
I know.
it's so
And,
fucking stupid.
and all these people that think they're doing like God's work or whatever the fuck to review bomb this game, they're actually giving it more attention, right? And I also think that some people probably just wanted, because this game has been, kind of like you can't do no wrong for so long, and they finally found a niche in kink in the armor, and they're like, gotcha, and they're pouncing on it. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Tyler, what do you think?
I don't. You guys said it. For the most part. I mean, yeah, I think it's very legit. Like that people should voice their opinions, especially if it's restricting their access in the country, and it's like I said earlier. I think it's messed up if you're paying for a product and not having access to it. So obviously that's wrong. So, I don't know. I just think in general, they should just. I don't know why they're so obsessed with forcing everyone into their damn accounts. I don't get the point. So like, why do it? So
It was for security reasons. They had some security thing to prevent like hackers and like cheaters. And in order to enact it, you had to log in to prevent, make sure like bot accounts and stuff like that, and like farming accounts. But
that's a bummer.
And like I would have been really surprised though if this had gone through and those countries that couldn't log in had absolutely no way of accessing the game. I would almost be certain that maybe at first, maybe there was like a couple weeks where they were like, hey, we fucked up, we forgot about this, all these countries that we don't support, but they would fix it. Something would have to happen. There's no way they would just let that flounder, or they would give full refunds, or they would create like they would create like a server for those countries. Be like, hey, those servers are on their own thing. You know what I mean? Like there would be something.
Those people would really be fucked though, honestly. Like, I'm thinking about it just from like
stuff like that happens all the time. Like people
Yeah.
cut off like access to a whole country.
Yeah, and I mean, like you couldn't even like file a credit card claim because it's probably past 60 days, right? So it's like you were like literally shit out of luck if Steam was like, sorry, like they warned you. There was that little fucking thing on the bottom saying this was going to be a requirement one day. So
Blizzard like pulled like WoW out of Russia. Like you just like boop,
Yeah.
hit a
I mean,
switch. So.
we touched on this a little bit earlier in the episode about like, having rights to your game and digital assets. It's like, I mean, you truly don't have any control over that shit. Like Steam or whoever could pull the game off at any minute. And that's just the reality of
It's
having
just digital
digital
world in
stuff.
general. Like Emily, right? She's got her Instagram banned before for like nothing, and then had to like go through the whole rigmarole of getting it unbanned. And you see that all the time on social media. So it's like you're really at the mercy of like these companies, and you have no recourse if they're just like,
Yeah.
or like, hey, like we think you might be cheating, you're banned, and from Warcraft, you're like, I have fucking 2,000 hours in Warcraft, and I spent like $1,000+ in subscription fees and cosmetics.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, well, too fucking bad.
Yeah. Moral of the story: we need rights for digital goods. That's how I'll end my.
Yeah. By the way,
my
fun
thoughts.
fact: did you guys see Razer got totally fucked this week or maybe
No.
last week? So they a couple years ago during the COVID, they sold their Zephyr mask, and it's like RGB, like supposedly N95. Like, I actually thought that show was dope. I was like, I kind of want one. That's fucking cool. And like they kind of got shit because they were claiming it was N95, and which is the highest, protection. And then someone called them out, and then they removed all of that language from the website about it being N95. So anyways, that whoever maintains that, like FCC or whoever, basically ruled that it was false advertising by Razer. They have to refund over $1 million in sales. Everyone they sold
They only
in the United
did $1
States.
million in sales.
Well, like, yeah, however many they sold, like, they have to refund every single one to consumers who bought it.
It's a complete
plus
loss.
$100,000 in damages to like whoever sued them.
Yeah.
So it's like, shit, dude. Like it's not a ton of money, but like that's a hit because it's $1 million, but also like now it's like complete loss, right? Like it's the $1 million in sales, but also like whatever money into production that it took, like creating these things, shipping them around the world. So like probably fucking 5 times that amount.
Wow. Well, I didn't depend on Razer anymore anyway.
Yeah, Razer's gear. I have all Razer gear because I worked with them for a while, but it's fucking garbage. Like, I'm sorry, Razer.
It's hot
like
garbage.
Your gear is fucking garbage.
Last camera though.
Don't buy.
The camera
I like
fantastic.
the camera. I like the camera.
The camera is fantastic. I don't mind the mic, but like the keyboard and mice, like
don't buy the
they're
headphones.
Just fucking terrible. Yeah, I got a free pair of headphones from them. It didn't work out of the box. Like literally out of the box, it was the mic was broken. And then I've gone through a couple Razer keyboards. I've gone through a couple Razer mice. Thankfully, I just asked for extras, and so I've been able to switch them out. So I haven't buy any. But dude, Logitech all the way, people. I never had any fucking problems with my Logitech.
It's all about Logitech.
Yeah, I've had I had shit for years of theirs that just never had any issues. But Razer QA is terrible.
Yep. Another one of Dustin's bonus episodes right at the end.
Yep.
Love these.
Fuck you guys, Razer.
They always seem to be really spicy too. All right, well, I'm gonna close this up. So thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be notified when we post new episodes. We post new episodes every Tuesday morning on podcast services and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. Thank you very much.
Good night.
That was creepy.